93% of people who say they want to change their lives never take the first step. Not because they lack intelligence. Not because they lack resources. But because of one invisible force that quietly controls almost every decision they make. That force is fear. And what makes it so dangerous is that most people do not even recognize it is the thing stopping them. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover exactly how fear works inside your brain, why the traditional advice to just feel the fear and do it anyway is only half the story, and the one counterintuitive truth about fear that most self-help books completely skip over. This is not about eliminating fear. It is about something far more powerful than that. Stay with me, because what comes in the middle of this video will genuinely change how you think about taking action forever. Fear has been with us since the very beginning of human existence. For hundreds of thousands of years, fear was not a problem. It was a solution. When early humans encountered predators, hostile environments, or unknown territory, the brain triggered an immediate fear response. Heart rate increased. Muscles tensed. Adrenaline flooded the body. This is the fight or flight response, and it was perfectly designed for the world our ancestors lived in. The problem is that our brains have not caught up with our modern reality. We no longer face lions or rival tribes on a daily basis. But that ancient alarm system is still running. And now it fires not just in response to physical danger, but in response to giving a presentation, starting a business, sending a difficult message, or making a phone call. The brain cannot tell the difference between a real threat and a perceived one. That is where the trouble begins. Neuroscientists have identified the amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure deep in the brain, as the command center of the fear response. When it detects any stimulus it classifies as threatening, it hijacks the rational part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, and takes over. In those moments, logic goes offline. This is why you can intellectually know that posting a video online is not dangerous, but still feel the physical symptoms of fear before you do it. Your amygdala has filed that action under the category of threat, and it is doing its job perfectly. Understanding this changes everything. Fear is not a character flaw. It is a biological function. But it is one you can learn to override. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that the anticipation of an event activates the same neural pathways as the event itself. In other words, imagining failure or rejection causes your brain to experience the stress of that failure, as if it were already happening. This is called anticipatory anxiety, and it is one of the primary reasons people procrastinate indefinitely. They are not being lazy. They are actively trying to avoid a pain their brain has already begun to simulate. But here is what nobody talks about. That same mechanism works in reverse. You can use visualization not just to rehearse fear, but to rehearse courage. Athletes and high performers have known this for decades, and the neuroscience fully supports it. A study published in the Journal of Neurophysiology found that mental rehearsal of a physical movement activates the same motor cortex regions as actually performing the movement. Elite athletes, surgeons, and military personnel all use this technique. When you rehearse taking action in your mind, clearly and specifically, your brain begins to file that action under the category of familiar rather than threatening. You are literally rewiring the fear response through deliberate imagination. But visualization alone is not enough. The deeper problem is that most people wait to feel ready before they act. And that feeling of readiness almost never comes. Psychologist Dr. Susan Jeffers, who wrote the iconic book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, argued that the feeling of fear never fully disappears. What changes is your relationship with it. Every new level of growth comes with a new level of discomfort. If you are waiting to feel zero fear before you take action, you will wait forever. The goal is not the absence of fear. The goal is action in the presence of fear. This is where the concept of behavioral activation becomes critical. Behavioral activation is a principle from cognitive behavioral therapy, and it works on a simple but powerful premise. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Most people believe they need to feel confident or motivated before they act. But the research consistently shows the opposite. The confidence comes after the action. Motivation follows movement. When you take even a small step towards something that scares you, your brain registers that you survived. The threat level decreases. And the next step becomes slightly less terrifying. This is the momentum loop. and it is one of the most important psychological tools available to you. Here is a practical framework built from the research. It has 3 stages: recognition, reduction, and repetition. Recognition means identifying fear for exactly what it is, a biological signal, not a verdict. When you feel that resistance before a big action, name it out loud or in writing. Studies on affect labeling, the practice of naming your emotional state, show that doing so reduces amygdala activation by up to 50%. You are not suppressing the fear. You are simply routing it through the rational brain rather than letting it run unchecked. Reduction involves shrinking the action until the brain no longer classifies it as a threat. This is not about avoiding the goal. It is about approaching it from a different angle. If you want to start a podcast but feel paralyzed, the reduced action is not recording your first episode. It is opening the recording software. That is it. Just open it. Then close it if you want. You are training your nervous system to associate that domain with safety rather than danger. Tim Ferriss calls this defining the smallest possible next step. James Clear calls it the 2-minute rule. The neuroscience behind both is identical. Small actions create new neural pathways, and those pathways make the next action easier. Repetition is where transformation actually happens. The brain changes through repeated exposure. This is neuroplasticity in action. Each time you take action despite fear, you are creating evidence for your nervous system that you can handle it. A Stanford study on self-efficacy, a person's belief in their ability to execute a task, found that the single strongest predictor of future action is past action in similar situations. You are not just building skills. You are building an identity. An identity is the deepest driver of behavior there is. Now here is the part that most people miss entirely. Fear is not just a barrier to action. It is information. When something genuinely terrifies you, when you feel a deep pull towards something despite the fear, that combination, desire plus fear, is often the most accurate signal that something matters to you. Psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi found that the experiences people describe as most meaningful in their lives almost always involved a significant stretch beyond their comfort zone. The fear was not accidental. It was a marker. It was pointing directly at the places where real growth was available. The people who live with the greatest regrets are not those who tried and failed. Multiple longitudinal studies on end-of-life reflection consistently find that people regret inaction far more than action. They do not regret the business they tried and lost. They regret the business they never started. They do not regret the relationship they pursued and lost. They regret the one they never had the courage to pursue. Fear, when it goes unchallenged, does not protect you from pain. It guarantees a different kind of pain later. So let this be the moment you change your relationship with fear. Recognize it as biology, not truth. Use visualization to rehearse courage the same way athletes rehearse performance. Take the smallest possible action today, not tomorrow. Let momentum build from that single step. And when fear shows up again, because it will, remember that its presence means you are moving towards something real. You are not fearless. No one is. But you can be someone who acts anyway. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to get up light for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.